Hi, I'm Brock, and I've been an independent game developer for the past 13 years. I'm here tonight to ask you a question. Are there too many games? Now, at this moment, you're probably in one of two camps. One camp is what I'm going to call the heads, and you're sitting there thinking, what a strange question to ask at the beginning of a game jam. The other camp I'm going to call the hearts. You can tell if you're in this camp because you can feel this burning outrage in your chest bubbling up. How dare you suggest there are too many games? I am just getting started. Now, before you dismiss me or run me off, we could ask a similar question about novels or films. They've certainly been around a lot longer than games. But I'm a game developer, and this is a question I've been pondering. It's something a lot of developers discussed on social media last year, actually. So let's take a minute to survey our surroundings. I think we can agree that there is a lot of games. There's so many games, in fact, that companies like Humble Bundle gather them together and sell them at extreme discounts. Other companies like Epic simply give games away for free. It's like Oprah. You get a game, and you get a game, and you get a game every single week. And they're quality games, too. We're not talking about bargain bin games that nobody wants. And so, what has this bounty of games led to? Well, one of the things it's led to is a vast unplayed queue of games in our libraries. Some of us have tens or even hundreds of games just waiting to be played. We have so many games, we could spend the rest of our lives playing what we own. So, maybe my question isn't totally crazy after all. Hold that thought, though. Let me introduce you to someone. This is Aristotle. Well, not actually Aristotle. This is a picture of a statue of Aristotle, which is really kind of meta. But anyway, some of you may know him already. He was a Greek philosopher, probably one of the smartest people that's ever lived. He had deep thoughts, and he asked a lot of questions about life and meaning. One of the questions that obsessed him was this idea of telos. Telos is a Greek word that describes the purpose or goal or ultimate end something was striving for. It's a metaphysical question, the prime example of this being the big question. You know, why am I here? It's the biggest of the big questions. It's a question that's been asked for centuries. It's been written about and argued over. It's a question that every human will ponder at some point in their life. But don't worry, we can save this question for a different time. Today, let's focus on a smaller question. What is the telos of games? Or what is the ultimate purpose of games? It's a much smaller question, in fact. However, if you're a game developer, and I'm assuming most of you are, this question should be of high importance to us. Now, I'm sure for many of you, your knee-jerk reaction to this question is, "Fun, you idiot!" And that's true. Well, hopefully not the idiot part. But games are fun. They're great entertainment and an enjoyable way to pass the time. But is that all they are? Could they be more? We live in a very interesting time to be a game developer. It's never been easier to start making games. You can download most game engines for free. And other software has free trials or open source alternatives like Blender. There are tons of online training tutorials available for little or no cost, and it's easy to connect with others and plug into communities and ask questions. When I was growing up, none of these things existed. Plus, I grew up in a small town where no one programmed, let alone made games. So I wasn't sure how to get into the industry. I'm extremely thankful for how far we've come. However, a side effect of all these great things is that competition within the space is greater than ever. As you can see from the chart on the left, we have Steam releases broken down by year. And you can see a trend. It's up and to the right. Now this chart was from some time before the end of 2022, but it's safe to assume that 2022's numbers finished around 2021 numbers. So, in 2022, over 34 games were released each day on Steam alone. If we included consoles and mobile, that number would be multiple times higher. That's a lot of games and a lot of competition. Now, if you're like me, you're probably asking yourself a question. How many of you have bought toothpaste? I'm assuming everyone here brushes their teeth, hopefully a couple times a day. This leads me to believe that at least some portion of you have bought toothpaste sometime in your life. For those of you who haven't, this is what a toothpaste aisle looks like. Look at all those toothpastes. How do you know which one to buy? Do you buy the cheapest? What is better? Total? Max Fresh? Optic White? Max White? What do even those mean? At a certain point, it all starts to look the same. And if we're honest, a video game aisle doesn't look much different. So why are all these questions important? I believe there are at least two reasons. One is a spiritual reason, and the second is a business reason. The first being that I believe we were created for much more than simply being entertained. God has a purpose for his creation. He gave everything to be reconciled with us, and that obligates us to think deeply about our lives and our vocations. The second reason is a practical business reason. As I've hinted at already with the toothpaste, it's very difficult to compete when everyone's product looks the same. If you want to stand out in business, you have to figure out a way to differentiate yourself. So let me introduce you to someone who I think may have a key. This is Simon. Simon is a very intelligent guy. He is someone you could label a thought leader. He's a speaker and an author. He's written several books, all of which are worthy of your time. I've learned a lot from them. And I'd like to highlight one idea that I found extremely valuable. It comes from that book in the middle, Start With Why. In that book, he wrote this: people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Let me read that again. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. In the book, he gives a few examples, one of which is Apple. Their mission is to think different and challenge the status quo. Compare that with a company like Dell. What's their mission? I don't know. Do you? Probably few people outside of Dell actually know their mission. He also talks about another example, Martin Luther King Jr. and his famous I Have a Dream speech. The speech is powerful because Martin shared his dream. It wasn't a plan with bulleted points on how to accomplish it. It was his dream, his why. And people grabbed hold of it and were inspired. This idea made me really think about our industry. What do the studios that create the games we love stand for? What are their missions? All of these things really made me start to re-examine my perspectives. Perspectives are powerful things. They shape how we interpret the world. They influence our moods, our thoughts about the future. They even determine what we believe to be possible or not. In a real way, our perspectives set our limits. While we're thinking about perspectives, let me introduce you to another person. This is Ray. Ray is a very successful businessman. You may have heard of him. He built this. Now, even if you haven't heard of Ray Kroc, I'm sure you've eaten at one of his restaurants at some point. Ray is an interesting guy. Not only did he pioneer the fast food industry and become extremely successful, he had an interesting perspective on things. He said this: we're in the real estate business, not the hamburger business. Huh. At some point in his journey of developing one of the largest brands in the world, he shifted his perspective. He realized that by purchasing prime real estate in places across the world, even if the restaurants failed, he had the real estate and could always fall back on that. Let me give you another example. This one is a personal example. This is my studio, PixelPug, where I'm trying to apply these ideas firsthand. To explain what I'm doing, let me introduce you to two more people. Their work has been influential in the vision of my studio. The first is Abraham. Hi, Abraham. He looks like such a happy guy, doesn't he? Abraham is best known for this. Pretty impressive, huh? Now, to be fair, there is a little more to it than that. This is what he came up with. You're probably familiar with it. It's known as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. On the bottom layers, you can see our physical needs, things like water, food, air. As we move up the hierarchy, we see that the needs transition to psychological, emotional, identity needs. From the physical to the metaphysical. This is one of the things I was thinking about when I was asking God for a vision for my studio. I needed something more compelling than simply entertaining. Not that there's anything wrong with entertainment, but I wanted to go deeper and try to meet a human need. Around that same time, I came across the work of another gentleman, Johann. Johann Hari is a writer and a speaker. He's written several books, two of which are shown here. In his book, Lost Connections, he brought to my attention that we as a people are in the middle of an epidemic. Now, I'm not talking about COVID, although that epidemic disrupted our world. The epidemic Johann writes about is the loneliness epidemic, and it's actually taking years off people's lives. It's so serious, in fact, that being acutely lonely is as bad for your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And that is when God impressed upon me this thought. We are created for community. Now, my entire life, I've been an introvert and kind of a loner. I've prided myself on being self-sufficient. But God made it clear that that wasn't the case. And he wanted to point out some things to me. The first being that he is community. The triune God, 3 in 1, the very definition of community. And then he showed me that we're brought into this world in community. As babies, we're actually physically connected to our mothers in the community of the womb. And then we're born into our family community. God also pointed out that community is what he wants for his body. Jesus actually prayed for it before ascending to heaven. He prayed that we would be one just like he is one. I've long believed that games are powerful. They have this amazing ability to bring people together and make ordinary people do extraordinary things. Take a minute and look at these fans. Now, I'm sure these are ordinary people with regular jobs and lives, but football has made them dress up and act crazy. And it's not just the testosterone-fueled males acting crazy either. Look at those women in the corner. They look like regular women, except for the fact they're standing in the freezing cold and wearing fake mustaches. Think about this. Last year's Super Bowl brought together 112 million viewers. That's 112 million people, all focused on a game. And it's not just sports that have this power. Look at the numbers the Game Awards put up recently. So not only do I believe that games have the power to connect us, I believe the world's a better place when we play together. And this is the vision that God gave me. PixelPug is in business to create a healthy community where individuals are valued for who they are and encouraged to grow into what they were created to be. We do this by crafting games that bring people together. So, we flip the business model on its head. We're an independent game studio, but our product is a healthy, encouraging community. And the games are the conduit to that goal. This doesn't mean that games aren't important or that we're not concerned about quality of the games we make. We deeply care about what we create and the craftsmanship that goes into our games. However, games are not the ultimate focus. People are. Beautiful people with souls, joys, hopes, and pains. And we're here to connect with them. So this is how I see PixelPug. It connects my faith, my passion for making games, and a compelling business opportunity. And the vision is large. It's something I can spend the rest of my life exploring, and I won't get bored or feel like I need to repeat myself, which is important to me creatively. So, back to my original question. Are there too many games? If we change our perspective and focus on meeting people's needs, I don't believe there'll ever be too many games. So what does this mean for you? Well, in the immediate term, some of you are right here. You're just getting started on your game development career, and that's okay. You're at a place where you need to get time under the bar, so to speak. If you want to build physical muscle, you have to put in the reps at the gym. And game development is no different. And that's what this game jam is all about. You are building your game development muscles through practice and repetition. So have fun and enjoy it. Now, others of you may be a little further along. You may feel like trying to stretch yourself and apply some of this thinking to your game tonight. But no matter where you are, beyond the game jam, my hope is that a seed was planted. A seed that would take root and grow throughout your careers. I shared this recently on social media. These are just a few of the things I believe games can deliver. As I've discussed, games are a powerful medium, rich with unexplored territory. So I have 3 questions to leave you with. First, ask yourself, what need do you see that games can help meet? The second question, what excites you about games? And finally, the third question, what unique vision is God speaking to you? I look forward to seeing what you create. Have a great jam.